Have you ever seen this piece here and decided, I want to replace that. I want to replace it with something that's a little more common. Maybe something that shows up in like 6,500 other sets. No, literally. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can replace this eye stalk here in your Generation 2 head. Either variant, by the way, doesn't have to be the short one here, with basically any color you've ever wanted, and with one of the most common pieces LEGO has ever made. I'm talking about the humble 1x1 stud. The build we are going to do today is dead simple, just requiring 2 studs. I like to use one clear and then one of the color of my choice. The other piece we're going to use is a little bit more obscure, but not too terribly rare, thankfully, and it is a stud with a bar on the back side here. This is the old version that was seen in a lot of Minecraft sets for a handful of years. It has since been replaced, and I don't own the new replacement for it, so I can't test it with that, unfortunately. But at the very least, I can test it with this piece. So if you have this piece, this will work. If you have the new version, it may be worth testing at the very least. The build for this is dead simple. We're just going to stack up 2 studs, whatever color we want. I chose the fiery trans orange here as well as clear for this one, and we're going to just stack that on top of the stud on back, so you can see that bar is there. Now, what becomes, I don't want to say difficult, it's not difficult, but something to be aware of is when placing this in the head here, we're just going to kind of lay it down, but where we want that bar to show up is actually in the area behind that that pinhole here, right? So we can see the bar is pushed in to a specific spot. If we push it any further forward than this, it's not going to work, it's going to fall out. But if we push it here, the axle will actually grip that bar, so it's actually riding over top that bar. We push it in, push the axle down, and then push it across. You'll hear a click, and that is it. That locks that piece in place, and I'll show you why I really like this. There are 2 reasons. First of all, this locks that axle in at this angle, meaning if I wanted to attach horns to this character, I can, and they're not going to wobble, which is nice. Sometimes it's just not something that you want to see in your characters, or it can be a bit cumbersome, especially when moving characters around, like Skull Basher, for example. But also what makes this even better is that when I want to switch the eye color, I don't have to remove this. In fact, what I can do is just take my thumbnail, grab onto that stud right here, push down on it, go ahead and flip this. Sometimes it might get a little stuck in it. There it goes. That's on the floor, never to be seen again. And I'm just going to take the new stud, trans neon green this time, just put it up inside of there, use my thumbnail to push it on, it'll click into place, and now I have the brand new eye color in there. Get bored of the trans neon green because, of course, we already saw that color used. Do the exact same thing again, only this time I'm going to grab the trans dark pink, push it down in there, and push it on with my thumbnail. Very easy to replace, and it means you get basically whatever color you want. Even better, this means you could use solid colors if you want to, but even better than that, you could also use a glow-in-the-dark stud. And since you can pair 2 studs back to back, you can kind of mix and match colors a little bit too. This is obviously not going to work for every color combination. It's going to be more effective for others, but you could do things like complementary colors to make them glow in some really interesting ways, or have a fluorescent color behind a non-fluorescent color, so maybe it picks up the black light behind it, or again, the glow in the dark as well. Is it going to work for everything? No, absolutely not. But because this is one of the most common pieces LEGO has ever made, and it's still in production to this day, it just makes it very easy to work with, and it's a very friendly piece for basically anybody to get their hands on altogether. So if you are actually somebody who owns this headpiece here and owns an axle and owns 2 studs, the only difficult piece to get, and really not that difficult, is that bar stud in there. Just make sure you get the old variant or the one with the short bar connection. On top of that, though, I have a bonus for this video because I also wanted to show you how you can use something else to give you new colors for this head as well. This is a discovery I made a couple of years back, and it's been a pretty cool one. Admittedly, though, this one's not as approachable, not as friendly as the first, just because it is using a piece that's quite uncommon, mostly because it's a LEGO piece, but it wasn't really used in LEGO system, at least not that I'm aware of. Rather, this was used in a theme in the early to mid 2000s called Clickit, which was kind of like a jewelry accessory line for kids. And specifically, the piece we're looking for is this one right here. It has a matte texture on the front side. You turn it around, it has an anti-stud and some little lines that go through it. I don't know what the lines mean. Maybe they help to align it on something. But the point is, we're going to turn it with that anti-stud up. We're going to go ahead and insert it into the head area on the Metru head here, and we're just going to take a number 2 axle, push it through, push it all the way through, and it'll kind of click into place as well. In certain cases, in fact, I think in this case here, I did it wrong, so it didn't click in all the way, but in certain cases, it will grip onto the anti-stud from the bottom. There we go, just like that. And if I can get it in there all the way, which is a little bit difficult, but that's what teeth are for, clicks in place. And it works. You can see the eyes there. Now, this is, again, not quite as good as the Metro eye stalk because it's a little bit more of a gap, of course, on all sides. But if you even turn the head like maybe 10 degrees, that gap disappears and you get colors like this, the trans fiery yellow color. Actually, this color is a slightly different proprietary color, like a trans orangish yellow. I think it was called like trans peach or something. Don't quote me on that. It's a weird color. But like I said, there were some really fascinating pieces that came out in that line. If I had more pieces from that line, I would experiment with them as well. And of course, I did run the experiments with this piece here and different combinations with the Metro head, but I was unfortunately not able to get any of those to work. This has been the best option by far, and you may have seen other people using this method after I kind of shared it around for people to see a while ago on Discord and Instagram. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. If you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. It does help out, and of course it means you'll see more videos like this, these little hidden connections, obscure connections, weird connections and experiments, and of course it's just fun to have you guys around. So if you did enjoy this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know specifically if you can think of any pieces I have not tested in this video. I'd really like to know those because there are definitely some other pieces I want to get my hands on to test for certain things like this, especially with that Metro head. But that one's a little bit difficult to work with just because of the size of that inside hole. It's very proprietary. It's very weird, but at least it works with one other piece. So that's cool. Also, if you want to take the conversation further, you can check out the Discord, Instagram, or Patreon, all of which are linked in the description. It helps out the channel and it helps out videos just like this one. I'll see you all in the next one. That's in the description. Take care, guys.